it's Horror Queen Cosplay, and it has been a very too long time since I have done a cosplay related video here on this channel. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time now, but just haven't had the spare time to do so, and I've been focusing on doing other video game related essays instead, and streaming, and just putting together new costumes and life, and hopefully this is in focus. My camera was being a little bit funky, as it always is, but today I wanted to talk about my skit that I did for Zenkaikon's Masquerade last year in 2023, based around Alice Madness Returns. Alice Madness Returns is one of my favorite video games of all time. It's a dark retelling of Alice in Wonderland by American McGee. Pretty much it focuses on her life after the events of Wonderland as a young blossoming woman, dealing with a lot of the historical injustices within Victorian England society. It's absolutely fantastic. It's dark. It is totally what edgy Hot Topic me was into. In fact, my most recent version of this cosplay of Alice included shoes that I bought during my very goth emo phase, although let's face it, it's not a phase, Mom. High school Hot Topic days. Now, what made this skit very interesting is the fact that there are 3 outfits to the performance, and I wanted to break down how to do a 3 outfit cosplay skit. Now, I'm going to be linking the full cosplay skit below. Thank you so much to DCM for recording that, as well as another video that I've done talking about tearaway costumes a little bit more in depth in the context of a skit I did as Miss Kitty Mouse from The Great Mouse Detective. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I have when doing a tearaway costume and building a tearaway costume is to build from the inside out. Make the costume, that's gonna be the end look first, then make the second costume, then if there's gonna be a third like this, make the third costume to go on top of it, because you will be adding layers, which will add more to the measurements of the garment. And you want to make sure that everything's going to fit, and try to keep it as much of a secret as possible that you're going to be ripping some clothes off. Now, my skit inspiration was not only the game's tragic story itself. I'm going to try and keep spoilers out as much as possible, but my skit pretty is filled with spoilers. This is a decade-plus old game. I think spoilers are okay. I don't know. But I chose the song Last Laugh by Fletcher, which is a part of the soundtrack from Promising Young Woman. If you haven't seen that movie, it is a fantastic movie with a chef's kiss banging soundtrack. This song is one of many amazing songs in there, and I felt like it fit Alice's story perfectly. It felt the vibes, it had a good beat, and despite being a song that most people haven't heard, it still was easy to understand both the lyrics and the vibes and the energy of it, making it a fantastic and perfect song to use for this kind of a skit. And of course, I did my best to add in extra audio lines and make sure that the MC's introduction to my skit would perfectly ensure that anybody who doesn't know a thing about this version of Alice in Wonderland could still understand the gist of what's going on and the kind of energy we're trying to bring to the table, which is, I'm gonna have the last laugh kind of revenge. You have wronged me, you have screwed me over. I'm gonna have that last laugh.
Judges, this is in the advanced category. Advanced category brought to us by Horror Queen Cosplay. That's right. I thought so too. Alice Liddon blames herself for the fiery death of her family, especially her older sister Lizzie. With her madness rising and Wonderland crumbling, her doctor might not be as helpful as he claims to be, and they are all alone on this train platform. Will Alice have the last laugh? Will she indeed?
Even though I built this costume with the final outfit being the first thing I built, the middle being the second, and the opening outfit being the last thing I built, I'm still going to take you through the journey of how this skit came together in order of how it appears on stage. Now, the skit opens up with me sitting on a chair placed by my always amazing cosplay masquerade assistant, who goes by Revan76. Also, he used to be known as Kinetic Cosplay. He's been one of my longest running friends and is always an amazing assistant to helping me out with all of my cosplay skits and just cosplay in general at conventions. Sidebar, if you went to Colossal Con East in 2023 when I did a skit where I had 6 wigs and one portraying 7 characters, he was on stage with me making sure that my wigs were the wig transitions were going on perfect. He is an absolute star. Could not have done this skit without him. He graciously and selflessly places the chair on the stage so that I can sit. Now, of course, there is a deep dark history, not just in the Victorian era in regards to insane asylums, especially women in insane asylums and straitjackets, and this was no way meant to poke fun of or make light of that. It is in fact a sequence within the game, and I wanted to articulate that perfectly. Plus, I thought it would be super dramatic at the start of my dance to do a little bit of chair choreography, something I have never done before. It absolutely messed up my hips because I have bad hips, knees, and back, and kick the chair aside, praying to God I did not smash a $5,000 light. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and everything was okay. Now, something you might note, everything that I include in this skit, 3 costumes, 2 props, chair, comes with me on stage. There's no pre-setup other than my friend graciously placing the chair down because I couldn't do it myself with my straitjacket on. And I always say with skits, maybe I haven't said this here on YouTube, but I try to emphasize if you're going to do a skit with a prop, make sure it has a purpose. And in the spirit of doing tearaway costumes and transforming costumes, since I've done several skits like that before, I try to keep things as mysterious and surprising as possible. Like, okay, you're probably expecting that there's going to be a tearaway moment, but what about a hidden prop? Trying to keep things as mysterious and interesting and on your toes as possible with this. Now, the straitjacket in question is actually just loose bed sheets that I sewed together, drafted a pattern. It has the very basic tearaway principle of just having one seam up along the back with sew-in magnets. I simplified, of course, the design of the straitjacket so that way it would be easy to rip on and off using all, again, scrap fabric. All of the seams on the inside are perfectly clean and serged because guess what? I got craftsmanship judged on this. And if you're gonna do a tearaway costume and you're gonna get craftsmanship judged, make sure the inside of the piece that you tear away is as clean as physically possible because the judges are gonna look at that. And the arms of the straitjacket, rather than making a traditional straitjacket with my arms actually contained, we made little fake plushy ones. So that way, in the skit, I just pushed my arms forward, breaking out of the straitjacket. When you're putting together how you want a tearaway costume to tear off, where you want the magnets to be on what seams, always think about what kind of motion you want to be doing on stage. Do you want a twirling motion? Do you want a punch out motion? Do you want a tear out motion? That is incredibly important, and half, if not most, of the presentation when it comes to a tearaway costume, not just the fact that it tears away, it's gotta look awesome while you're doing it, and makes sense to whatever movement or performance or character you are trying to portray. For the next part of the skit, we went with Alice's black and white London dress. Now, this is my first time doing a tearaway costume that wasn't just basic one seam kind of tearaway. I wanted to have multiple aspects to it, especially since it's striped, it's different, and it wouldn't make sense to have a seam running along the back because of the apron that she wears. As I toss part of it aside, it literally starts with a tearaway of ripping off a sleeve, having a seam of just straight up magnets all along here, as you can see, was super fun to sew. By the way, all of these stripes are individually sewn as well. And again, perfectly clean on the inside because I knew the judges were going to be looking at this. Which brings us to our top here, because again, I didn't want to have a very obvious seam back here. I chose to put the seam all along that side with the sleeve. It made for a very dramatic reveal. We've got seams all up along the shoulder that break away, all up along the side. I chose to use a mixture of cotton and very textured linen fabrics to show just how grungy and realistic and dirty that the real world is outside of Wonderland. And the skirt is your very traditional tearaway skirt with a seam along the side rather than the back. Again, more linen fabric. I did include some butterfly ribbons to try and bring out a little bit of the whole magical girl vibe that Alice has in all of her transformations in that game, which is one of my favorite aspects of that game, how despite how deep and dark it is, there is still touches of femininity and magic within them, making it more than just a Alice in Wonderland but dark kind of story. We love a dark, whimsical video game aesthetic, okay? Now, once we're in the fully blue dress, I still have a few surprises as well with magnets. Hidden within the lining of the back of the dress, in between the blue cotton that you see outside and the lining cotton on the inside, is another magnet. But instead of the sew-in magnets that you buy on Amazon, that is the sound of my cat doing her scratching post. She's fine, I love her. Are neodyne magnets, which are much stronger magnets, to which I can pull a prop out of, attached to my back, hidden, making sure I'm not doing any twirls, any spins until I pull the knife out. Sandwiched in between EVA foam and a Warbler layer is the other two magnets that connect to the dress. Tell you what, this made this prop so useful even outside of the skit, because if I had things to do at the con, like answer a text, have a snack, pay for something in the artist alley, I literally was able to just pop that sword to my back and be able to do whatever I want and pop it right back up. Super useful, and I would love to thank the Halo cosplayers I met like 5 or 6 years ago at Zenkaikon that did the same thing with magnets and their guns to the armor, just like in the video game. So thank you, Halo cosplayers. You have inspired me greatly, and this is not the last I will be doing this with cosplay props, absolutely. And of course, the skit continues doing some badass dancey knife moves, all that cool jazz, where eventually we hit the climax. I love to tell stories with my skits. You gotta have a climax, you gotta have a little bit of an ending afterwards. The climax, pulling from another magnet attached to the apron of the blue dress, which, by the way, the apron and the dress are all one piece. I have the apron sewn directly to the dress to prevent as much movement as possible. Just like how the apron is attached to the black and white dress, since there's so many layers and things shifting, having everything attached as much as possible and as little moving parts as physically possible with these kinds of costumes will prevent issues down the line, like slipping apron straps, things being out of place. Try to limit as many potential failures or issues down the line as possible, but we pull out a little EVA foam key in that kind of like cell shaded graphic style with one of the sew-on lighter magnets attached to it. I didn't want to put one of the more powerful magnets so that way it would be easy to locate and pop out, but it would still be guaranteed, with it being sandwiched in between the skirt and the apron layer, it wouldn't move. And we talk about one of the big plot reveals of the game. We have a little bit of audio, and Alice may or may not pushes her evil therapist onto a moving train. Just spoilers, sorry. Now that was a lot of information, and I really hope I didn't overwhelm you, but I don't like to gatekeep all of my fun tricks and how I do skits. Part of my joy with doing skits is coming up with new ways that I can wow and surprise everybody and be like a literal magician. I love engineering new tearaway and transforming costumes and ways to hide props or ribbons or other fun little things, and I want to definitely keep doing videos like these. I have so much inspiration from drag queens, from other cosplayers, and I always want to share how I put together these wonderful performances because so much thought is put into them, and I spend a lot of time just tinkering away with new and funky little ideas for y'all. You can best guarantee in 2024, I've got a few new tricks up my sleeve. This isn't gonna be it. One of these days, I'm gonna do a skit where it's like I'm doing 10 characters with 10 different costume changes. When will I be able to rest? I don't know. I'll never be satisfied, apparently. But Alice Madness Returns is a really special video game to me, and I've been wanting to do a skit based around her for a few years now, and I'm so glad that I was able to find inspiration with it and put on a great show with a fantastic song. I'm incredibly thankful for the judges of Zenkaikon for awarding me Best Masters / Advance. It was Best Advance. I'm still in shock about it, to be perfectly honest. And it just pushes me to continue to do more interesting skits and also send in my applications to other conventions to be a cosplay judge as well, to foster other cosplayers' creativity. Hopefully I'll even be able to do a panel or two this year. 2024 is wide open. If you want me to talk about very specific things in cosplay, whether it be how I constructed a specific costume I've done that you've seen over on my other social medias or my Twitch account, or just talking about a certain specific cosplay topic in general or how to do things, please do let me know. That will give me a great idea on what you guys want to see here on this channel outside of just me doing video essays talking about random video games. And I hope to definitely try and keep up here on YouTube. My goal is to put up at least 1 or 2 tailored video essay talky videos a month. That is my goal. I unfortunately get very overwhelmed at events and very rarely film like showcases at events anymore, so I can't guarantee I'll be doing like basic vlogs unless you guys really want to see vlogs and what it's like for me at conventions, especially conventions that I compete in. I might try and do some of that. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me for my very first video of 2024. Hopefully you'll stick around, like, subscribe, comment, all that fun jazz. Bye!